everybody doing out there in paradise this morning? I hope you're all doing well, taking good care of yourself, being safe out there. I know there's bad weather all over the place this weekend, and it's no exception where I'm at. It's cold as heck, but fortunately we finally have some heat in here. So I'm actually rather toasty right now. So today I'm going to talk about gangs in prison and how I got a beat down last fall. But first, before I get into that, let me tell you just a tad about gangs in prison. As most of you know, gangs plague the prison system all over the country. In some places it's a lot worse than in others, such as out in California. In California, you got no choice but to join a gang. And you join a gang based upon your race. It's just the way it is. You've got no choice. Well, fortunately, where I'm at, it's not like that at all. You have a choice. And no disrespect meant to any gangs anywhere in the country. But in this particular spot where I'm at, the gang members are really pussified. They're not running stuff around here. The most they do is try to regulate the phones. They're not extorting anybody. They're not controlling the drug trade. Any of that stuff. And they're not going around jumping on people, you know. I don't know why they even call themselves gang members. If they took the gang members in my state and they sent them out west to California or anywhere on the west coast, they wouldn't last 5 minutes. And I'm going to admit, I'm glad I'm not out west because I'm too old for all that foolishness anymore. You know, I'm not a violent person. I don't go around picking fights, and I try to stay out of the way, but if trouble comes my way, I know how to defend myself, you know. But anyway, last fall, there was this guy who's a gang member in my pod. And he's always running around with his chest poked out, trying to flex and act like he's Billy Badass or somebody. But I know this dude is just pussy. I can just feel it. And he's always kissing the police ass and trying to do their job for them. And this dude was just really getting on my nerves for a long time. Then finally one night, we were locked down and the only people that were allowed out was 4 or 5 workers. Everybody else is locked down. And when we were out there, well, I'm not going to tell you what precipitated it because then somebody might recognize it. But he made a statement to somebody, and I laughed, and he turned around and looked at me and said, I don't know what you laughing about. You're stupid motherfucker too. So I said, what did you say? He said, you're a stupid motherfucker. So I went off then, you know, I just couldn't contain myself anymore, and I started cussing out. I said, you pussy motherfucker, you're a bitch-ass, snitching motherfucker, always kissing the police's ass, and you ain't gonna do shit. If you don't like what I'm saying, bring your punk ass up to my cell right now. And he said, bet. So I couldn't believe that, you know. So I ran upstairs and went to my cell, and my door was already open, and I pushed everything out the way, made sure my TV was out the way good so that wouldn't get broken, and quickly I told my cellie, I said, look, stay up in the rack, no matter what happens, just stay up in the rack, you know. And he's like, what's going on? I said, dude's gonna run up in here, I think. And I peeked out the door, and then I saw him at who I thought was the OG's door, you know, the boss's door. But it turned out that dude wasn't the boss anyway. And then he went to a couple of other doors. Suddenly I realized the phone was out. So I turned around and I ran back over to my bunk, and I leaned over and I turned the phone off, took the battery out, and like in order to keep from a signal emitting, what you do is you take the battery out and then you cover the terminal with a piece of paper or a piece of tape, something like that. And then you put it back in there. That breaks the connection so that when they come in here with a cell phone detector, it won't pick it up. So I cover up the battery, stick it back in the phone, put it back on it, and I'm just getting ready to put it in the spot where I was going to temporarily hide it when all of a sudden I hear somebody coming in saying, "Now what was that you were saying?" And as soon as I turned around, I got cold cocked. And it dazed me. You know, I grabbed him, trying to shake it off, catch my bearings, and all of a sudden I felt myself being punched in the back of the head and the ribs and the back and everywhere. So I let go of him and I just started swinging at anything and everything, you know. And I may have lasted maybe 2 or 3 minutes, probably maybe 2 minutes, because everything happens so fast. It seems like it's longer than it is, but it's not. And turns out it was three of them in here. The fourth guy was standing outside the door guarding, and what had happened was the police had opened three dudes' doors so that they could come jump on me. Now, I don't know if the police knew they were going to do it or not, but he opened the door and let them in. So anyway, make a long story short, they beat the shit out of me. It could have been a whole hell of a lot worse, though. All I ended up, my face was bruised up. One of them had some cotton gloves on, and each time he hit me, it would kind of peel the top layer of skin, kind of like a carpet burn, you know. And so I had a black eye, and I was banged up in the face. But the worst part was, dude, when I went down, this dude was kicking me in my ribs, and he broke two of my ribs, and that shit hurt like hell, let me tell you. So anyway, they beat me down, then they leave. Now, mind you, it could have been a hell of a lot worse, but just as I anticipated, they was pussy, and they didn't have that killer instinct, you know. When I went down, they kicked me a couple of times, threw a couple of blows, and then they turned around and left. Now, if they were showing no gangsters, when I went down, oh no, they gonna kick my teeth in, stomp my head in the cement and everything else, you know? So I got lucky, I dodged a bullet. Well, it took me 2 months until everything healed up, and I was ready to go. And the whole time I just kept saying, man, I'm gonna get this dude, I'm gonna get this dude. You know, so after 2 months, um, I finally healed up, and one day I catch dude in the stairwell. I can't tell you, we're on lockdown status, or I should say modified lockdown, you know, because we only get 1 to 2 hours a day out of the cell. But they were doing commissary and shit, and I was able to catch this dude in the stairwell one day. And it wasn't really planned out to happen that day. It just so happened I was in the stairwell and I had this on, and he popped up in there with commissary. So I immediately pulled my shades off, pulled this down, because there's cameras everywhere. And I beat the brakes off him. Now this was the initial dude that I was beefing with who called me stupid, you know. And I beat the shit out of him. But cameras got me, you know. They they seen what happened on the cameras, and by the time they came in, I was already back in the pod and up in my cell. And I told my cell, hey, look, they might be coming in here to get me. If they do, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take the weight. You know, they don't know who it was. The most they can do is know what cell it came from. So he's like, all right, bet. So turns out they watched the camera in the stairwell, and then they watched everywhere I went after that and followed me all the way to the cell. And they just didn't know whether it was me or my roommate that did it. So when they got to the cell, I raised my hand. I'm like, all right, it was me. So they take me to the hole. Well, I was only in the hole for a couple of weeks because, they wrote me a charge for fighting. I was fortunate I didn't get assault. They gave me a charge for fighting. And I actually beat it because, okay, I don't want to say what the names of them are because it could help to identify what state I'm in. But when you get an infraction or what we call a charge, you go before a judge, so to speak, who holds a little mock trial, kangaroo court, and they always find you guilty, most of the time. So anyway, I go for the trial, and the judge looks at the videotape, but all he looked at was the videotape of the stairwell. He didn't even think to try to look at all the other tapes from the other cameras to see where all I went. So he found me guilty based upon the fact that where the fight went down was one floor down, and those cameras showed it like this, so they couldn't determine who it was. So he actually found me not guilty, let me back out on the yard. I was only gone maybe 3 weeks, and I was back on the yard. So I actually beat the charge, which was great. So anyway, that's what happened. Old Bob got a beat down. First time in quite a while, but it's certainly not the first time it's ever happened to me. So there you have it. Now, all you youngsters out there, you know what I'm gonna say. You think you're bad. You think you're a killer. You think you're a gangster. You think you're a tough guy. Well, when you come to prison, you're going to be tested. And depending upon where you go, you very well may be forced to join a gang. And when you join a gang, you don't have no say-so in anything. They tell you what to do. They tell you, yo, go over there and kill this dude. And if you don't do it, then they go kill you. Oh yeah, it's some serious shit. I'm lucky the state I'm in is pretty pussified, It's not like it was back in the day. So, I suggest that you stay in school, stay out of trouble, do the right thing. Because you don't want to come to jail. Because no matter where you go to jail, you're going to be tested. As soon as you get in that place, you're going to be tested. So, stay in school, obey the law, and live a good life out there. Don't come in here and hang out with me, because this ain't what's happening. There's nothing cool about this shit. Nothing at all.